Okay, top 10 pathetic moments from the mainstream media.
The left, full of somber support.
I think really this should be a somber moment. It's a sad day for America.
I think it's sad.
It's sad. It's a sad day for America.
It's a sad day.
It's just really sad.
Sadness, I think.
It is a serious night and a somber moment for our country. So this is a really sad moment.
Media makes excuses for Biden falling.
Peter, it looked to me right away, and they later confirmed it, that there was a sandbag there. It was a windy day. It was holding down the teleprompter stands, and clearly not well placed.
He tripped over I guess there was like a sandbag on, and Twitter and the right are going crazy. I tripped in my own house. I mean, it's not easy.
Same.
So what do you think it is about Joe Biden? Is he so enraging to the right because he is so normal?
I fell in the hallway because I was wearing high heels and walking too fast. He got
So is Biden wearing high heels then?
up a lot faster than I did.
I also. It's painful to watch people trip. On
it's the worst.
And in public.
Are you kidding?
It is the worst.
And presidents do fall. They do. They trip and fall.
He kept the American economy from falling.
I mean, the president could do full handstands on the economy. It's just a fact. The numbers support that, whether he's a Democrat or Republican, whatever.
Well, I mean, there are some people who are at their best in their 80s.
Nancy Pelosi.
My mom was using a chainsaw and doing her best work in her 80s.
Nancy Pelosi without chainsaw.
Behind every bad man, there's two women with a chainsaw.
Biden is a war hero for visiting
Air
Ukraine.
raid sirens and no real guarantee of security.
As air raid sirens blared.
This was incredibly dramatic, Andrea. It was historic as well.
Historic, timely, and brave.
What is this Game of Thrones? These dragon scales?
Historic, timely, and brave.
American presidents have made dramatic trips before. Nixon to China, Kennedy, Reagan to the Berlin Wall, and presidents have visited U.S. troops in war zones, but never like this.
To find
Clearly the air raid sirens were propaganda. If it was a legitimate threat, they wouldn't have had the president and Zelensky in that area.
a day of this kind of presidential bravery in a war zone, you've got to go all the way back to 1864.
Seeing the American president there, walking the streets of Kyiv while air raid sirens literally sounded in that moment about possible incoming fire from Russia.
With his aviators on to walk through in broad daylight in Kyiv. The swagger of this trip.
Media wrongly blames Israel for bombing a hospital.
The government in Gaza says the Israeli Defense Forces struck a hospital in the center of Gaza City.
An airstrike hit a Gaza City hospital, killing at least 500 people.
Where a hospital was caved in, killing hundreds and stranding an untold number under the concrete.
The deadliest Israeli airstrike ever.
An Israeli missile struck the hospital. Absolutely horrific loss of life.
This is not the first time violence has actually hit, which is supposed to be, obviously, a place of healing.
Deadly explosion at a hospital in Gaza. Palestinian officials say hundreds were killed, and they're blaming Israel.
Did we ever find out who really did this bombing? Somebody in the comments, what's the update on this story?
Now, Hamas is calling this a genocide.
200 to 300 people believed to be dead at this stage. Also many examples of civilian deaths caused directly by Israel. There's no doubt about it.
At minimum, 300 people are dead.
Egypt is saying it's very upset about this hospital bombing. The World Health Organization has strongly condemned the attack.
Today, the death toll rose significantly in a horrific attack in Gaza. 200 to 300 people were killed.
The Palestinians are talking about 500 dead.
Sweetheart deal. No way. The DOJ is biased against hunters.
We keep hearing things from Republicans like sweetheart deal.
This is not some sweetheart deal.
Well, I don't think it was a sweetheart deal.
There's no indication that he's getting a special or a sweetheart deal.
So is this a sweetheart deal?
No, it's not.
So it does not appear that this is a sweetheart deal.
They focus on this and say, oh my God, two-tier standard of justice. He got a sweetheart deal. And you're like, guys, I mean, you just sound like morons.
If his last name was not Biden, I don't even think he would have been charged.
His name was Hunter Smith. He probably would not have been charged.
Based on what we have seen here, it seems like a more harsh disposition than most people would get.
So I actually think
Do you think they'd apply that same standard to Trump or any of Trump's children?
Biden's kind of getting the short end of the stick on this because it's such a high-profile case.
So nothing has been found to be illegal with those poor decisions. They can't name one crime that was committed.
He committed no crime.
Bending over backwards to not show any favor, even any appearance of favor, to the president's son.
You could close your eyes and you'd have no idea they weren't talking about Trump, other than the fact that it's CNN and MSNBC. Whistleblowers are now bad.
The attack on the whistleblower is never wise. It's never lawful.
And I'm not going to call them whistleblowers.
They don't deserve whistleblower protection. Each and every one of them has a strange history, has, guess what, Russian connections.
They always do. They weren't really whistleblowers at all. In fact, they weren't even credible witnesses.
2 or 3 people.
For them, whistleblowers can only exist when a Democrat isn't in office. Anyone else is clearly a Russian asset.
or political operatives, but they're not whistleblowers. These guys are not whistleblowers, period.
Welcome back to so-called whistleblower. From the so-called whistleblowers.
See, so-called whistleblowers.
So-called whistleblowers.
So-called whistleblowers.
So-called whistleblower.
All right, so-called's our first buzzword.
And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members.
Deprogramming that might work in other cases is, it's obviously proven to be difficult.
That any exposure to children about LGBT people is automatically grooming.
How do you fix it? How do you undo it?
Well, at this point, it's deprogramming.
That's what we're being fed. People of other races are out to get you. We accept that. We get fed that. And so when that doorbell rings or the basketball comes into your yard, your first response is to pull that gun. It's a programming that's occurring. The deprogramming question is much tougher to answer.
How are you in journalism and you don't know that the term deprogramming is a negative one? Ignore your own eyes. This economy is awesome.
I don't know how anyone else is surviving out here.
I can't go to the grocery store and get a week's worth of fucking groceries without spending $300, $400.
Because everything is just astronomically expensive.
The everyday necessities that people take for granted, you can't afford them anymore.
Bidenomics, Biden's formula for strong economic growth from the bottom up, it's so much greater than even the experts in economic stuff expected it to be.
How are you feeling tonight? Are you feeling confident tonight? The Biden administration is crediting Bidenomics.
Bidenomics is changing their lives for the better.
Because real Americans are feeling the benefits. Bidenomics and how well the economy has been doing under Joe Biden.
If I were him, I'd actually be declaring victory. This economy is particularly good.
You look at the gas prices that came down. America is doing incredibly well.
Joe Biden is guilty of nothing except loving his son.
Joe Biden did nothing, not even approximating improper, much less wrong or illegal.
Hunter Biden talked to his dad on the phone all the time. They talked basically every day. Sometimes Joe Biden would say hello to the people in the room if he popped in.
These were more of just cordial hello types of conversations. Business was never discussed on those calls, and that was more casual sort of check-ins, casual conversations.
The Hunter Biden story, the scandal, the this, the that, it's also the story of a father's love.
We should put this in context. This is the time when Beau Biden, the president's other son, was ill and then dying and then passed away.
Very fraught and sad time for the Biden family, and we know how important family is to the president.
People in your families, they're ne'er-do-wells. This is as old as time.
You know what we've seen? A lot of pictures that show you what addiction does to somebody, and a lot of noise to distract from Trump.
Media explain what will happen to Trump if reelected.
What would a second Donald Trump term look like?
You can't imagine the things that he's going to do.
And shoot visitors to the White House. Yeah, that means he can shoot the first lady.
We're going to see violence, the likes of which we didn't even see on January 6th.
Make it illegal to run against him, to throw his opponents in jail, to shut down the media.
He will make himself into the Fuhrer.
Using martial law against the American people.
Create mass internment camps.
Throw everyone into Gitmo.
Assassinate generals.
Ordering troops to...
Okay, come on. The OK hand, this is no accident. They purposely put this image up.
Attack American citizens. Trump's very well-armed and extremist base will try to kill people.
He's going to basically burn the house down.
I am once again asking that you subscribe to the channel. Horrible.
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.